This is a quick start for using One-Shot API to bring on-chain actions into your n8n workflows. Let's start by coming down here to your user settings, community nodes, and let's install a community node. We're going to choose n8n nodes One-Shot, click install, and now we're ready to import the One-Shot API nodes into our workflows. Let's start with a manual trigger, and we'll add One-Shot to our sample workflow. There's 3 nodes you can choose from. The first one is the One-Shot API general node. This handles most of the things that you're going to likely want to use One-Shot for, but there's also a One-Shot API webhook node. The lightning bolt indicates that it is a workflow trigger. And the last one, which we will talk about, One-Shot API submit and wait. This lets you execute on-chain transactions, but the node blocks until the transaction is either confirmed or fails, in which case you have to handle the success and failure branches of your workflow. So let's add a One-Shot API node. We'll use execute. The first thing you want to do is add a credential so that your n8n node can talk to your One-Shot API account. You need 3 things: your client ID or client key, your client secret, and your business ID. So if you come over to the One-Shot API dashboard, click create a new key, give it a name, copy the key, put it into the ID field, grab the secret, put it into the secret field, and then lastly you're going to grab your business ID, which is at the top of the page, paste that, save, and now you are authenticated. At this point you can use all of the different API nodes and their methods. Execute will allow you to write transactions to the target blockchain. Other features that the One-Shot API node provides: estimating the gas cost of a method, simulating it before sending it to the blockchain, reading smart contract endpoints, as well as importing smart contract methods based on their associated prompt. Speaking of prompts, you can actually search for relevant smart contracts based on natural language. You can use the transaction actions to look at your transaction history of your One-Shot API business. And lastly, you can do various wallet functionalities like create wallets, delete wallets, and then list the ones that already exist with your business. Now let's look at the trigger node, so the One-Shot API webhook. If we add that, the only field that it takes is a public key. This public key is used to authenticate whether or not the callback is actually coming from your One-Shot API business account. You can find the public keys in the One-Shot API dashboard. If you come to My Smart Contracts, choose a specific smart contract that you've already added. Let's look at the right functions. If we click Details, you'll see here for this endpoint, it has a webhook card, it has a URL, and it has a public key. So that public key would be the quantity that goes in the public key field. A note for webhooks in One-Shot API: the public-private key authentication keys are generated on a per URL basis. So you might have multiple smart contract methods that all are pointed at the same URL callback. If that is the case, they will all have the same public key that can be used to authenticate them. The last thing we're going to cover is the One-Shot API submit and wait. If we add this, this is exactly the same thing as the One-Shot API execute method. The only difference, reiterating here, is that if I choose a method and provide the input parameters, this node will block until One-Shot API says that the transaction has failed or succeeded. And then here is your success and error branches. That is the quick tour for getting a quick start going with One-Shot API and n8n. We have other tutorials that walk you through building complete workflows with on-chain actions in n8n. Check those out.